Hello and welcome to the premiere episode of Homegrown Stories. My name is Jacob Glandon, and today I'm here with Toni Hull, a member of the Watch Your Opera House board. So Toni, how did you get on the board?
I think it was 2 years ago. A past board member, approached me and asked me if I wanted to be a volunteer. Well, I was retired, okay, I can handle this. So as you kind of progress with your volunteering, you kind of slide into being a member. So that's basically how. But where I really got my passion for this building was I'd called my aunt one day, and she was 92, and she was an usher here in the Opera House when she was 13 years old. And I could just close my eyes and see this little girl with her brown hair and her brown snappy eyes and running all around ushering people. And then she told me a story that touched my heart in several ways. The Opera House every month would have a drawing for $100. And one day they drew the name of Wesley Jordan. And she said the place went deathly quiet because they had just received word that he had gone down on the USS Oklahoma in Pearl Harbor. And I tell that story to people when they come for tours and when I'm giving even the artist tours, because I think it's important to know that there is a history in this building. And it tugged at my mama heart, it tugged at my being a citizen of the United States heart. So that's one I always like to share. And I guess that's what really reeled me into this building.
Yeah, well, I understand why it would have. That's a pretty amazing story.
It's an important story. And I just think if I could go back in time, what would I see? What would I learn about people and how they acted and how they performed and what happened to them? So this is just a history lesson in itself, besides being a place of entertainment. Yeah.
So before we really get into the questions, can you talk about what an opera house is and what kind of purpose it might serve?
Well, don't we all like to be entertained? I don't care what generation we've been in, way back when and even in the future, and we need a meeting place to do that. And I have learned that Kika County alone has had several opera houses. There's been one in South English. I just recently learned that Sigourney had one. Brooklyn is out of our county, and then of course the Pella Opera House. But I imagine every county had some form of entertainment. So when people are tired of working, tired of going to whatever job they had a place to go and have socialization with people and to see entertainment and to make them laugh, because isn't laughter a great thing?
Absolutely.
And music too. So yes, that's how I just figure, and there's probably some that have closed and fallen in, but we try to keep the ones active that are still able to be so.
Yeah, and I actually think that this building is one of the oldest opera houses in the state. Not the oldest, but it's up there. I've seen some articles.
It might very well be. It was built in 1893, and we just celebrated 130 years. The Masons built this, and they had their meeting up on the 3rd floor, which a lot of people don't even know that exists. They'll say, well, I've lived in Watch Your my whole life, and I didn't know there was a 3rd floor. But the Masons are a secret society, and their meetings are closed and not everyone can attend. But they had their meetings on the 3rd floor, and I question why wouldn't they just build a building opposed to making an opera house with the balcony and then the stage? But so that's how it came about with the Masons. And story says that in the 60s they were going to tear this building down because the Masons were leaving. And there was a wrecking ball outside, and a man, Lee Coulon, he was a resident here in Watch Here, he paid $500 for this building just to stop the leveling of it. We have some really interesting features in this building. In the back of the stage, we've got the tallest, skinniest door, which is in the Guinness World Book of Records. And it was used primarily for shows that would come and visit, and they would bring their backdrops, because there was a train station just down the street. So the entertainers would come in on the train, either drive in somebody's vehicle, bring them up, or walk up here, and then they would pound their backdrops into this floor, And then when they were done, they'd take them out, go out the door, and back down the street, and then probably on to another opera house in another town. And we've got, if you notice this floor, it's patched up because years ago, a magician was here. Now, I don't know how many years, but a magician was here. And he had to disappear. So the board allowed them to cut a hole in this original floor. And as time went on, the floor joists became not as secure as they should have been. So we had a carpenter come in and he fixed that and put in a new piece of fur. It doesn't match the original, but it serves its purpose and it's doing a great job for us.
Yeah, well, it makes kind of a cool story too. So.
Yes, it does. And people say, what? They cut a hole in the floor? And it's just so fun to see people's reactions when you tell them about what's going on in this building.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, so what kinds of performers were here and during like the prime of the Opera House? What are some of like the biggest names that were through here?
Back in the day, like Watcher had 2,000 residents, and I really don't know what they had. Maybe a Toby and Susie show, because those were traveling shows. But we've had Guy Lombardo, Myron Florin, some of the big band, John Philip Sousa, they were here. And then as we migrated into the years, there was Kitty Wells, Hank Williams Jr., Porter Wagner, Lee Mace, and then things kind of quieted down. And then it was just local bands that would perform once in a while. And then it kicked back up. We had a guy here in town, his name was Ralph Gatton, and he brought in the Nelson Twins. And I can't remember who else, but the Nelson Twins were a big draw for everybody to be here. So we're just trying to build up our artists to come now too, so.
And then today, what kinds of shows? Are you still having a lot of like bigger names today, or is it kind of different now?
Last year we had a lot of good shows, but people didn't know who they were. And they really missed out on good shows because they say, well, I don't know them, I'm not gonna go. So we turned things around this year. We are doing tribute shows. We're doing a lot of tribute shows. Our first one, our opener in February, is a tribute to Neil Diamond. And later on, we're having Creedence Clearwater Revival, and that should be good for people in my generation. Later on is Johnny Cash, and he's bringing June Carter with him. And then we're going to have Conway Twitty, a few more, and then we have a powerhouse singer from Northern Iowa. She was here last year. Her name's Lori Gravel, and she is going to be doing the Women of Country, and she's fantastic. She is very, very good. And then we have 2 free will shows, 3. We're going to have our Christmas one, and then the boys. They're brothers from Kicking County, right here in our county. And they have a dedication and a loyalty and a love for this building. And I think I can speak for the board that we appreciate the fact that he is actually, or they are actually growing in their musical field. They're opening acts for good performers and whatnot, but they're still loyal to us. They still come back and see us. And they always bring in a good crowd. One of the funny stories was, when people, the artists come in, they're just like, you can just see their jaws drop and their eyes get big. And when they hear the acoustics, they're just like, wow, this is a hidden gem, because they're used to playing in bars or, for a dance or in your metal and steel buildings. Like you go up to the big stadiums and stuff now, or like, what is it, in Wells Fargo. So they really love coming here, and they say, oh, we want to come back, we want to come back. And we thought, well, we need to have you back, but we also need to bring in new entertainment too. So we do have a nice lineup this year, we really do.
So a question about like the artists and people. Have you seen any musicians that have been here and then their popularity started to take off? Yes,
Tyler Richton and the High Bank Boys. Tyler got his start here, I believe, and he sang solo. And then he was able to, when he had his band, they came here, and we had held their first ticketed show for them. And but they are growing. They are making the circuit. I see where they were just in Nashville not too long ago. And I expect the boys to do about the same thing, because they are growing in popularity.
And both of those bands are local Iowa bands, right?
Yes. The boys are from Sigourney, and Tyler Richton is from up in the Deep River area. So yes, very close to us.
Yeah, well, that's
So we do have local talent. Yes.
it's got to be great to see that.
It is.
That all the talent that is being utilized here, and they're able
Yes.
to go even higher. So.
Yes, it is. Yeah, they just don't become stagnant and just go nowhere. So they're going somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, with the
so
acoustics
we're proud of them.
here, everybody's gonna sound amazing in here. So I'm not surprised.
Apparently so, because they all comment about it. Every artist that I've ever talked to that has been on our stage since I've been doing this, which is about 2 years, they have just, wow, this is great. This is a great place to perform. So yeah.
So you mentioned ticketed shows. Are all of them ticketed?
No, this year we will have 3 free wills, but the rest of them are ticketed, and they are $30 each this year. So, and you can get our tickets either through online. You can go to our website, the Watch Your Opera House. You can get a ticket through there, or you can buy them at the door, or we can contact a board member, and we will make sure you get a ticket. So yeah. And we're hoping that we'll start having them all sold out. But so and right now people say, are they all sold out? And we'll say, well, you can still get them at the door. But we're hoping as this season goes and they know what kind of entertainment we have, that we'll run into that nice problem, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So you say they're all $30?
Yes.
Okay. And so can people reserve seats, or is it just kind of like a first come, first serve kind of thing?
First come, first serve. They used to have ticketed shows years ago. We don't. We have a capacity, maybe I said, of 516. Now we do have the poles from holding up the balcony, so that wouldn't be a prime seat. But otherwise, I think most of the seats are really good seats in here. Yeah.
So you say you can seat over 500 people?
Yes. I would say 400, a little over 400 comfortably.
Okay.
But yeah, we could hold 516 if the need arose.
So you say there's 3 free will, and how many ticketed?
Well, we have 11 shows.
11 total?
11 total shows,
Okay.
yes. It's from February to December. And in June, we have 2 shows because we have a gentleman that has been here, I don't know how long. He's kind of comes with the woodwork. And he has good music. He's Dan Kniffer and the Country Buddies. They do really good entertainment, and we usually have a good turnout for them. And I thought, he needs to stay. He's built into these walls. So he needs to stay until he decides he can't do it anymore. Yeah.
Cool. So people can come here to do tours. So do you want to talk about that a little bit? And
Well, sure. In fact, I even have the class, of 1974 is coming on in August. They're having a class reunion, and they want to tour the Opera House. So we do have tours, and people will see us online, and they'll get a hold of us and say, hey, we're coming through. We'd like to have a tour. So we have done that several times. And one man was a graduate from Grinnell College, and he lives in Ohio, and he said, I'd like a tour. So we arranged it, and we gave him a tour, and everything was impressive, of course. And then we do the night of the shows. If people want a tour, we take them upstairs and give them a tour backstage so they can be sure to see all the high points and the surprises that we have hiding around here.
do people have to pay for tours?
They don't, but we appreciate donations, and
Okay.
some have done so. We'll never turn down a donation. We hate to just put our hand out and beg. But we do appreciate donations, very much so.
Yeah. And why are donations so important for this building?
Well, we have a lot of upkeep. When we have our shows, the income from that, we have our general maintenance. We have lights, we have the utilities, insurance. We have all those things we need to pay for besides booking shows. So we rely on donations for that. And then some donations have been applied to the structure of this building. A lot of it depends on grants. And we have a good grant team that works tirelessly to find places where we can have a grant and apply and receive it. And we have received a few over the years, and we've done a lot of big work here at the Opera House. But the smaller donations and that, a lot of people will say they want it designated for shows, or they want it designated for the building. And we've even had people who've given it as a memorial. You know, they had memorial gifts and they gave to us to put toward the shows and just the regular daily maintenance of this place. Yeah.
Yeah, so donations are very important and always welcome.
Always welcome and very important. And we have done fundraisers. Now this year we did, first time ever, we did a cookie walk. And it was beautiful. We had 3 tables lined out with cookies that people donated and that the board members made. And we sold a lot of cookies and we had a nice little profit. We've got a board member working diligently on a cookbook, and it should be ready in March. And I think she has close to 500 recipes now, and it'll sell for $20. So that'll be available. And I can't think of anything else right offhand that we've done.
I think you have a pretty major fundraiser every fall, right?
We do, but this year we've opted not to do that because sometimes it gets a little too much, the same thing, repetition.
Okay.
So we're trying to do these smaller fundraisers, and then maybe in a year or 2 we'll have another big one again.
Sure.
Because you know, you have the silent auction and the band and the regular auction. They like that, but I don't want it to become boring for them.
Okay.
So we're just putting a new little spin on things and doing some smaller ones. Yeah.
Awesome.
Because it does cost to put on a fundraiser.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And it's a lot of work, and but we had some really wonderful people give us a lot of donations this year, so we were able to make a profit this year. We really were. It was great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for people that have never been here before, where can they find parking?
I wish I'd say we have a big parking lot, but unfortunately we don't, not at the present time. That might be something in the future that will magically appear for us. Basically, they have to park on the main street or the side streets. And it can get a little crowded, and you know, we worry about distance and if it's raining or something. We don't want people to be deterred from coming because of the weather, but that's all we have to offer right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So people might want to get here early if they want to get a good parking spot.
It probably wouldn't hurt.
Okay.
It wouldn't hurt. And what we've done, we have a hospitality garden north of the building here, and we kind of block off the street. And Grant Ranch from Sigourney is run by Danette, and she comes with her food and some adult beverages, and we have picnic tables set up, and in the season we'll put flower pots and stuff out there to brighten it up a little bit, and so people can come and sit and have a sandwich or a potato salad or whatever she decides to bring that night, and then they can just go inside and get their spot. So basically the doors open at 5:30, but shows start at 7.
Yeah.
And a lot of people start coming at 10 till 7 because you're thinking, why aren't they coming? And then here they come. So it all works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go over a couple more things before we conclude. So for the shows, are all of them musical performances, or is there kind of a variety?
This year it is musical.
Okay.
But last year we had an improv, and it was very good. Everybody liked it, but we didn't have a large attendance once again. But in December, what I'm wanting to do is to get a variety of people in the community or even outside of the community to come in and do performances for us. And my goal is to get the speech director over at Tri-County or any other school that would be interested to come over here and do a play or to practice before they go to state speech, because they always have a little opening, you know, at their schools to practice. So, but for this year, it's just music, unless we get some little surprise act in there in December. Yes.
Yeah. So for the most part, the schedule is set and it's all musical performances.
It's everything's booked in. I even have other performers contacting us wanting to come this summer. And unfortunately I say, well, we are booked, which is a good thing that we're booked, but I hate to turn people away.
Yeah.
But and in the month of August, we're not having a show due to the fact state fair, school starting, that sort of thing.
And the flea market.
And the flea market, yes. We try not to have shows the night of the flea market.
Yeah.
But I think we do have one this year because it's just the way it worked in the performer schedule. Yeah.
Okay. So outside of the shows for like performances, what other things are held in here? You know, things for like the community or business or whatnot. Do you want to talk about that?
We would like to be able to rent the building out,
Yeah.
you know, for weddings and for other bands or other things like KC Elite. They are a dance studio in Sigourney. And here she comes in, Tricia comes in with children from little tiny to the older ones, and they're all dressed up and they're ready to perform, and the audience is filled with parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, you name it. But it goes over very well. And she rented the building this year. And of course, I have to mention you were here.
Yeah, I was.
With your documentary about coal community or coal clay and community.
Yes.
And that went over so well. And I do want to thank you.
Oh, yeah, of
because you're young and you're generations that we need to take an interest in what we have here and what we can offer.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you being interested in this building and what we're trying to succeed to do here.
Yeah.
So thank you, Jacob.
You're welcome. And I'm glad I got to show it here on your brand new projector
I
as
know,
well.
I know it, and
Yeah.
it was fantastic. And when at Christmas time, speaking of the projector, at Christmas time, across the street, the community gets together and they have games and Santa Claus and cookies and cocoa and Rudolph the reindeer or reindeer's hair and a wagon with horse-drawn, rides and stuff. But this year we did last year, but this year was a good success for us. We had an Olaf movie running every 30 minutes. And the people would enjoy across the street. They would come over here and enjoy the movie, and we had free popcorn, pop, and water for them. And that was a success for us too. So we're trying to reach out and have more activities here.
Yeah, kind of find a way to help out the community too,
Yes,
right?
yes, and for them to get involved and say, hey, this would be a wonderful venue to have what we are producing or what we want to present to the area. So yeah, because not many places are like this.
Yeah, exactly.
This is unique and special. It really is, and we need people to come in and know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so looking forward, what is it going to take to keep this place continuing to be unique and special?
People. It's going to take people, and it's going to take people that come to the shows, but it's going to have to take people who have a passion, who understand what this history is about in this building, because that's vital. Because once you realize that this is a treasure, it's on the historical
Registry,
registry,
right?
yes, thank you. And that's what we need. So young people like you, and even the generation ahead of you, that's what we need, because there's going to come a time when myself and the other board members, we're going to have to pass the baton on. And we need that. We need somebody who will take the baton and run with it.
And then outside of like the younger generation, are there any renovations that have to be made to keep it going as well?
We always, it's just like a home. You always have to do something for the upkeep.
Yeah.
Over the years, the last few years, we've put on a new roof, and we've done some tuck pointing, but we still need to do more tuck pointing. So we're applying for grants for more tuck pointing. We've just finished some basement work, not completely finished. We finished part of the wall. We still have to put a membrane and things down there.
Okay.
And those are things that we're applying for grants. Yes. So there'll always be something that needs to be done here to keep it standing and safe for people who come in.
Cool, yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, well, I think that just about does it. So thanks for being on here, Toni.
You're welcome, and
our
thank
first
you.
ever episode.
Oh,
so.
there we go.
Yeah.
So yes, well, I can safely say on the behalf of the Opera House Board, we're very thankful that you asked us to do this.
Yeah.
Because it puts us on the map and it helps you. So it's just an all win-win, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
For those of you watching, make sure to check out a show this year. They could really use the new people, new faces, and just, if you want to learn some cool history, this is the place to go. So thank you for tuning in. The first premiere episode of Homegrown Stories. I'm Jacob Glandon.